Hey YouTube, what is up? I've been building a Heroes deck for the last 2 weeks, and I think I've finally gotten it to where I wanted to. I've been physically building the deck for the last 2 weeks, but before that I have been basically playing it on dual network and stuff like that. So let me show you what I've got thus far. And I think it runs really well. I've made some changes to it after playing it in the locals, but here's what I've got so far. I run 1 Neos Alias and 2 Bubble Man. The reason I run Neos Alias is because originally I didn't have enough cards in my deck, and I would tend to kind of monster out where I didn't have any monsters left in my deck and had too many spells and traps, so I decided to add a Neos Alias and some other cards as well. The Bubble Man is because you can use it to get acid, or you can use it to effect a special summon, and if you have no other cards and it's the only card in your hand, you can also draw 2, so it's a good way to go plus. Then I run 3 Shadow Mists, as you kind of have to in this kind of deck. Shadow Mist's ability basically is, if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can then add any hero card from your deck to your hand. So it's basically an E emergency call on the field, which is really good. You can use it to get Bubble Man, you can use it to get Neos Alias, so it comes in handy. And its other ability, which is if it's special summoned, you can use it to pull 1 mass change from your deck and put that to your hand. So if you can special summon Shadow Mist, you guarantee the fact that you're going to get yourself a Dark Law or an Anki. So it works really, really well, and that's why I like to run 3 of them. You really can't run less than that unless it gets limited later on, because there's that ban list that's imminent. But for now, I'm running what I run until that happens. Next, I run 2 Summoner Monk, because Summoner Monk's ability is the ability to turn it sideways. It has to be switched to defense position when it's normal summoned, but when you use Summoner Monk, you can ditch any spell card in your hand and then special summon any monster that's from your deck, which is level 4 or lower, which really comes in handy for rank 4 plays like XYZs, or you can use it to pull a Shadow Mist, which works out really well. Put that to the side. I also run 1 Max C and 1 Goblinberg. The Max C is kind of a filler for now. I would like to run 2 of them, but I'd also like to run 2 Goblinberg. I think I'm going to run 2 Goblinberg and put Max C's in my side deck, but for now, I didn't have 2 of either, so I decided to run 1 of each. Max C helps if your opponent special summons a lot. It allows you to go to plus if you draw Max C on your first turn, and they're going first for the duel. So if you draw Max C and they're going first, you know they're going to go off because they know you can't do anything. Max C helps you compensate for that by drawing a bunch of cards. Goblinberg's effect is if it's normal summon, you can special summon a rank 4 monster, a level 4 monster from your hand. And if you use Goblinberg to special summon something like a Summoner Monk, you can then ditch a spell and use Summoner Monk's ability to special summon, something like a Shadow Mist, and then you have a rank 4 monster, XYZ, and you also have the ability to pull out a Dark Law, which is really good. And then my last monster is 1 Thunder King Ryo, because it stops a lot of plays and it comes in real handy. It's also a good target for Call of the Haunted, because if you use its effect and then your opponent, knows you don't have Thunder King Ryo, they're going to go off, Call of the Haunted, bring back Thunder King Ryo, and that stops them again. I run 1 Raigeki, 1 Book of Moon, and 1, move that to the side, I didn't center it really well, 1 E-Call. E-Call is just to balance my deck out more. I was going to put an Upstart in, but I figured I shouldn't give my opponent the ability to pull, 1,000 life points in. I'd rather do the E-Call and just draw a hero. Raigeki and Book of Moon, because Raigeki allows you with a Dark Law on the field to banish your opponent's entire monster field, which works really well, and Book of Moon just stops your opponent from using effects because you set it to face down defense position. E-Call is also a good card to ditch with Summoner Monk, because it's basically the same effect, but instead of drawing it to your hand, you get to special summon it, so you can use E-Call as fodder to special summon any rank 4 monster from your deck. Level 4. I keep misspeaking and saying rank 4, but I mean level 4. Then I run 3 Rhoda, because it's filler for the deck, and it also helps you draw the cards you need. So if you draw either of these cards, you basically get the ability to either add Bubble Man, Neos Alias, Shadow Mist, or you can add Goblinberg to your hand, which really helps out if you have Reinforcement of the Army and a Shadow Mist already in your hand. You can add a Goblinberg, use Goblinberg to special summon Shadow Mist from your hand, and then you get the mass change. Then I run 2 Hero Lives, and every time I see a video of people making a goddamn hero deck, they pull out a Hero Lives and they say the same goddamn verse, which is, I love this card and I hate it. And I don't understand that shit. A Hero Lives is basically just a power play, or it's a top deck to save your life. That's really what it is. If you want to try and go for an OTK, a Hero Lives is the quick way to do it, because it allows you to special summon a monster, and then you can still go off with any normal summon you have in your hand and go from there. If you a Hero Lives and summon something like a Shadow Mist on your second turn and your opponent doesn't have really any cards on the field, you a Hero Lives, special summon Shadow Mist, get a mass change to your hand, and if you have a Goblinberg and a Summoner Monk in your hand, you basically win the duel, because you could normal summon Goblinberg, special summon Summoner Monk, ditch a spell card, you did just get a mass change so you could ditch that, and then you get to special summon any card from your deck that you want, so you can pull out basically 4 level 4 monsters, which means you can get 2 rank 4 monsters, which can be something like a Silent Honor Arc And I don't know, you can pull out pretty much anything with that kind of play. You can pull out Excalibur if you decide to get 2 warriors where you got 1 Goblin Burg already, and if you pull a warrior with Summoner Monk, you can get Excalibur, which is 4,000 immediately, and you can do whatever you want basically and just tell them to stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh because you've won. Then I run 2 Mask Charge because you never want to run out of your Mask Changes or your hero cards, and I really did used to play with only like 4 hero monsters or 5. I used to run 5 hero monsters in my deck originally, which was 3 Shadow Mist, 2 Bubble Man. Now I didn't like that, so I added the Neos Alias and I added Koga. But Mass Charge really does help because you can use Mass Charge to basically loop a bunch of stuff and get a bunch of monsters out on the field. It's not just a card to pull stuff back in, it's also a strategy to get a lot of monsters out. For example, if you have a Dark Law on the field, and if you have a Mass Change in your hand, and your opponent, or a Mass Change set, if your opponent targets Dark Law on your turn, you can use the Mass Change from your hand. If they target Dark Law on their turn, you can use the set version of a Mass Change. And anyway, if you Mass Change Dark Law into Dark Law, you have a Dark Law on the field and a Dark Law in the graveyard and a Mass Change in the graveyard. You can use Mask Charge to get the Dark Law that was in your graveyard back to your extra deck and use the Mass Charge to get Mass Change back, which means you can do that all over again. So you can basically, if you have 2 Dark Laws, protect Dark Law with Dark Law by using a Mass Change, and you can do that twice if you only have one of these cards, which works out really, really well, and it's really useful. So I don't know why people run one of them. I run 2 because it stops you from basically, running out of cards, and it's a decent strategy as well. Here I run 3 Mass Change. You can't really run more than that. It just basically allows you to special summon a masked hero from your extra deck by having a hero card on the field that has the same attribute. I also run 2 Forbidden Lance to protect my Dark Law or my Anki, and I've also used Forbidden Lance to protect my Excite Knight, which then I was able to use in the battle phase to wipe their entire field. So if you can use Forbidden Lance to protect pretty much any card you want, a lot of people just use it exclusively for Dark Law, and I don't see the point in that. I think it's a good card to use to basically protect anything you feel is worthwhile. I run 2 Instant Fusions, which a lot of people don't run in a hero deck, but I figure every monster that I run that's a hero is a rank 4, so why not Instant Fusion? You can use Instant Fusion to special summon a Norden. Special summon Norden. Use Norden's ability is that when it's special summoned, you can special summon from your graveyard any rank 4 monster. Not rank 4, level 4. My apologies, I keep making that mistake. And if you use Norden's effect to pull a Shadow Mist, you can use Shadow Mist and Norden as XYZ material, and then when you remove the Shadow Mist, you actually get its effect to draw 1 hero from your deck to your hand, which works really, really well. So though Norden does negate effect of Shadow Mist, it's only while it's not material. If Shadow Mist becomes a material for an XYZ, using Norden, you can use Shadow Mist's ability to draw a card from your deck to your hand that is a hero, when it's sent to the graveyard. I also run 1 Solemn Warning, 1 Vanities, and 1 Bottomless. Vanities is basically just a power play. If you have a Dark Law on the field, you probably stop your opponent from having a graveyard. If you run Vanities, they can't special summon, and Dark Law also prevents them from adding cards from their deck to their hand, because when they do, you can banish 1 card from their hand, which works really well. Bottomless Trap Hole is just in case you don't have a Dark Law and you need to banish something, and Solemn Warning is just in case there's something that could probably OTK me, and I just stop it early and stop them from going off. I run 2 Mirror Force because it's similar to Raigeki in the fact that if you run 2 Mirror Force and you have yourself a Dark Law, you pretty much banish their entire field again. It works really well. If you have Dark Law on the field, it really does become an attack target, and because its attack is so low, people tend to target it right away, which is kind of a dumb move because you can run things like Mirror Force and then just destroy and basically banish every card that's a face-up attack position monster on their side of the field, which stops most of their plans. I also run 2 Breakthrough Skill, which just stops my card from being taken by something like a Silent Honor Arc, or using Excite Knight to blow up my entire field. I just stop it with Breakthrough Skill, which comes in handy. It also stops your opponent from using cards on your main phase, which doesn't happen all that often, but it happens occasionally, and it's basically just an effect veiler that you can set as a trap. I also use 3 Fiendish Chain to stop my opponent from taking my cards. It stops things like Silent Honor Arc, stops Shadals, stops Satellars, stops Diamond, stops everything. There's no reason to not run 3 of these. They come in they come in handy so much that there's no reason not to run 3 of them. Next up, I run 1 Call of the Haunted and then a 2nd Call of the Haunted. The reason I run 2 of these is because you can use Call of the Haunted to bring back Shadow Mist, and that does count as a special summon, so you can get the Mask Change to your hand. You can also use Call of the Haunted to bring back Norden, and then you can use Norden to bring back another card. So if you Insta-Fusion into a Norden and use a Call of the Haunted in the same turn, you basically get 2 rank 4 monsters, which is really good because then you have 2 XYZs on your field and you could do whatever you want with your opponent basically, because they can't really stop 2 XYZs, especially if it's an Honor Arc or an Exciton Knight. You can use those 2 in tandem to basically blow your opponent's entire field and still have Honor Arc and Exciton Knight to attack with, and that's 4,000 right to the face. So with the 2 Insta-Fusions, I also run the 2 Norden. It makes sense. Norden's ability, when it's special summoned, you get to special summon a level 4 monster from your grave. I also run Anki, Koga, and 2 Darklaw. I will run an acid, I just haven't gotten one yet. I really would suggest running an acid if you don't. I just don't have an acid on me yet, and I will take out a rank 4 XYZ when I do get it. But for now, I just couldn't find one. No one I knew had one. So for now, this is what I'm limited to with my extra deck. Anki's ability, if you don't know it, I'll just say it really quick. If you attack your opponent's monster and it kills it, you get a mass change to your hand, which then allows you in the battle phase to mass change into Darklaw and do a second attack. Or you can use Anki to attack over your opponent's monsters because it can do a direct attack for 1400 any turn you want. So it's really good, and you can attack for 1400, pretty much go for game. If you have something like a Gagaga or don't have Gagaga, you can use Anki as an ability to swing over your opponent's monsters if they don't have spells and traps, and you can go for game. After that, I run 1 Excalibur, 1 Gagaga, and 1 Silent Honor Arc, and that's because Excalibur is 2 warrior type monsters, which you could easily pull off with Goblinberg and a hero, and that's basically a summoning strategy anyway. Excalibur is a 4,000 beat stick, and it stays for your opponent's turn as well if you decide to use its 2 materials, so I wouldn't see a reason to not do that. It's kind of hard to see because it's a ghost rare, but it is Excalibur. Gagaga Samurai I run as opposed to any other rank 4 double attack monster, because Gagaga Samurai not only gets to attack twice, but if one of your opponents attacks your monster, you can change Gagaga to defense position and then take the attack for that monster. So anytime your opponent attacks a monster with Gagaga on the field, they have to attack Gagaga if you want them to, which is a really good strategy, especially if you have a Darklaw, because a hero deck really is just a ring around the rosy, protect the Darklaw kind of deck. The reason I use Silent Honor Arc is because you can use it as a way to get rid of your opponent's monsters that can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. You can simply make it a material and get rid of that card, which comes in handy. And you can use it in tandem with Exciton Knight, and you can basically save Honor Arc and then attack for 4,000 to the face if you had to. I then run 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Dark Rebellion XYZ, and an Exciton Knight, like I just mentioned. Exciton Knight's ability is if your opponent has more cards in their hand and on the field than you do, you can special summon this, and then on the chain of its special summon or on your opponent's battle phase, you can basically blow up the field and destroy every card except for Exciton Knight, which comes in handy. Dark Rebellion, basically to get rid of any high attack monster. Its effect is basically half your opponent's monster's attack. This card gains that half, and then you attack, guaranteeing basically that you're going to do 2,500 damage to your opponent regardless of the monster's attack that it targeted. Abyss Dweller just stops your opponent from using their graveyard, which is really bad news for Shaddolls, really bad news for Satellars, for BA, for a whole bunch of shit. So Abyss Dweller just fucks everybody up, and that's why I love to run it. It also gets an attack boost, so if you have a water monster, it'll gain 500 life points, which is really good. Abyss Dweller gains 500, Acid will gain 500, Honor Arc will gain 500. It really does help out a lot. Then I run 1 Castel, 1 Steel Swarm Roach, and a Gagaga. The reason I run a Gagaga is because I just want to usually chip for game if I can with an Instant Fusion. If your opponent has less than 800 life points, Instant Fusion, special summon Gagaga. Gagaga's ability, in defense position, deal 800 damage to the face. Steel Swarm Roach, which is really good, is a card that allows you to basically, anytime your opponent special summons a monster that's rank 5 or higher, detach 1 material from it, and that card goes bye-bye. That's it. Castel's really good because it's similar to Honor Arc, where it doesn't destroy a monster, it just sends it back to the deck. So it's a good way to get rid of really high level cards that can screw you over. Now, really quickly for my side deck, I run 1 Black Horn of Heaven and 2 MSTs. Now, I run a Black Horn. Its ability has changed now, but you used to be able to target an entire field of Pendulum Summon monsters, and you used to be able to get rid of them. Now you really can't, so I'm considering getting rid of this, but for now I'm keeping it. And MSTs is just to stop your opponent from running cards that affect your back row, especially if your opponent runs something like a Royal Decree and you can't activate your traps or anything like that, and you don't have the ability to summon Acid like I don't because they don't have one. MST comes in handy. I do 2 Shared Rides in case your opponent that you're versing tends to like to summon a lot of monsters, but add them to the hand first. It really comes in handy. It's basically max C but for the hand, and that's really good. Shared Ride isn't that great though, so that's why I don't main deck it, but if you're fighting a lot of Necros, you can pretty much guarantee, or Shaddolls, that Shared Ride will come in handy at least once or twice if you have it. So that's why I run it. I also run 2 trap stuns because I know I verse a lot of people that play heavy back row just like I do, but trap stun stops them from using traps on my turn, which is really good because then the effect goes away, unlike Royal Decree, which is perpetual and screws me over. Trap stun only stops traps for 1 turn, and that's why I like it. I also do 1 Rivalry of the Warlords, which stops your opponent from controlling more than 1 type of monster, and 2 Light Imprisoning Mirrors because I play a lot of Satellars and I play a lot of Cosmos, and this card just basically stops them from playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is really, really good. I also run Defusion in case I get the Shadal matchup, as well as 2 Royal Commands for the Shadal matchup, because most of their effects are flip effects, and Royal Command and Defusion stops them from playing a lot of good cards, like Construct and Winda. You can just defuse that immediately, and they don't get the flip effects with Royal Command. I also do 2 Flying Sea in case I decide to screw over anybody that plays Burning Abyss. I can just Flying Sea immediately, and they basically lose the game immediately, unless they have a way to get rid of Flying Sea, which they usually don't because they only run rank 3 monsters. So with that, I'd like to say thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below with a video you'd like to see, or comments on this deck or questions you have. So, thanks again for watching, and don't forget to click subscribe because it's free, it's fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.